Meow, Huples cat, where am I?
Come to Ottawa to celebrate its quality of life, to explore its waterways, and to enjoy its many cultural attractions. This modern center for technology and science still has a deep appreciation for ceremony and history.
Well, recently Ottawa's been known for something else.
Searching each vehicle to make sure that they're safe. So those are most likely explosive units, the dogs, to ensure that there isn't anything that could cause harm to anybody from an explosive perspective.
Which meant as newly retired folks on a limited budget, we could spend 28 nights Airbnb in Ottawa and explore a city that's quite close to where we live, but we haven't really spent that much time in. As a side effect, it also means that Wolfie avoids 28 days of bad bugs. Well, we're halfway through our vacation and we're having some fun. This is the third week. But what happens to us if there's a nuclear war while we're Airbnb-ing in Ottawa? Well, this is just a very quick tour. This is a bedroom. This is a beautiful little dog. This is a hallway. This is another bedroom. This is a kitchen, fridge, freezer, a window, sink. Not that tidy today, but forgive me. Bathroom, sink, washing machine, dryer. Very basic, but it works. And the living room. Now, being about 2.1 kilometres from Parliament Hill, I don't think there's any chance whatsoever, if we're actually here, that we would survive a nuclear war. Ottawa is Canada's capital, and Canada has done a lot of stuff to align itself with the United States of America. In a shooting war with NATO versus Russia or China or Russia and China, and we have no advance warning, we're probably going to die. So does that mean when I came here I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'm not going to worry about it? No, I'm a prepper. A crazy prepper. So I thought about it. What if, and what would I do? So the basic first thing is to not assume nothing will happen. The second thing is to assume that you will not actually die. And third thing is, what can I use if I had to stay here? Now, communication access by road is pretty good. The car's right there, it's gassed up, we can easily get back to the Shire. So in the event of calamity or something acutely happening, we should be able to get home. We should be able to immediately pack up the car and split, abandoning stuff here if necessary. But Wolfie says, what if there's an EMP and the car doesn't work and there are some bombs going off in Europe and you can't actually walk back right now? What the heck are we going to do? That's a bike store. If I can break in there and steal bikes, more likely if they're open, I'm going to go in there and give them cash and get a couple of bikes, and we're going to start to head back. I estimate it would take us maybe a day to 2 days of bicycling to get back. Wolfie's going to be a problem. He's going to have to spend most of the time in a backpack. It's going to be tough, but we could do it. It wouldn't be pleasant, but we could do it. But what happens, there's been some attack and there's some radiation out there and the car doesn't work and I don't actually die and I don't actually want to be outside for a 2-week period. What do I have in this basic Airbnb that means I could stay in place? Well, I have my car kit, so I have food and water and a lot of other gear for 2 weeks in the car. Not worried about that. I always make sure I have that. I always make sure I'm not dependent on having to shop or use what's actually available. What's actually available and what I can buy is bonus time. I showed this in a separate video. N95s, food and a stove and some solar panels and a few other bits and pieces. So in a power down situation for the 2 weeks, we should have power. You've all got these by now, I hope. I've been on about this for years. If you haven't got them, you've made a bit of an error. Get them, especially if you've got young kids. So it may get cold. Pretty basic stuff. We'd have to sleep together despite my snoring. Kitty would have to get over that. The amount of linen in this place is much less than the other Airbnb we stayed at in Newmarket. Kitty recommends this store if you're ever in Ottawa. This is the shelter room. It actually has protection from the outside on more than one wall. Above, beneath, sides, all of them have air gap between themselves and external walls. This is why a flashlight and a system like that is a very good idea. I have 2 solar flashlights and I have one little portable radio. They're currently charging up. All of the plastic bags we have for toilet would be here. All the linen we have would come into this room. This is where we would be spending almost the entirety of the 2 weeks. This would be our toilet area. What I would probably do, and I think you should think about this now in your own home and see if you can do it, is the fridge freezer would actually be moved in front of the window. Blocks access, but also it helps to reduce radiation coming in, at least from that part. And I would stack whatever I have above that window as well because of its proximity to the shelter room. There's a mirror. I'd probably leave it in place, again for radiation issues. So the TVs, which I have not turned on, would probably go in front of the windows or in front of the doors. I would actually barricade this door, and this window to prevent people coming in. And there's a fair amount of gear floating around where I actually could do that. Portable toilet and bags. Wolfie would like to point out in any World War III situation, being 2 kilometres from the dead centre of the Canadian Parliament building is probably a really bad idea and is not a good idea, and I believe that bugging out here early is absolutely vital. But this is a thought experiment. So we have no heating, we have no water, we have no security, probably won't have any communications or power. Hopefully the solar panels and the battery banks that I have will work enough to give us some light. Hopefully the BioLite wood stove will work, but if it doesn't work, it will still function as a rocket stove. It takes very minimal amount of wood. I have wood and fire starting with me already, and I can easily get extra wood just by popping outside and grabbing it if I needed to, or actually attacking stuff here and breaking down wood inside the place. As ever in SHTF where you're not getting external help and have to stay in place, water is going to be a critical factor, especially with probable high amounts of radiation swirling over the area. First things first, I would fill the bathtub, absolutely. And I would look at trying to block the sink and fill that, but I wouldn't spend too much time on it because it's not designed to be blocked anymore, it's broken. Most of this stuff is no use to me at all, but there is some hydrogen peroxide in there, which may or may not be expired, but I'd probably keep that as a first aid supply. Also in the bathroom was this, which I found kind of amusing. It's a very old first aid kit. Some bandages, I don't know how effective they are. This type of plastic back glue bandage actually does not last very well. That's why I always say if you can, get fabric bandages, not the plastic ones. Plastic ones, of course, are a lot cheaper, but they tend to break down quite easily. This is an old kit. I was very pleased to find this in it. Triangular bandage. Always a great thing to have, both as a bandana and a sling, and also as a general bandage. You do need safety pins with these, very important to have. Next to them, a bunch of safety pins. Cling bandage, not the greatest, but you can secure ripped up sheeting on wounds with this sort of thing. Total waste of space, bit of cold compress, whatever. Another triangular bandage. No stapler pins, but there you go. Alcohol swabs, absolutely brilliant for fire starting. Clean wounds with water and soap, you don't really need these. Not really going to give you any extra protection. People will argue about that, but to be frank with you, fire starting. Very thin, small pad. If you've got any sort of hemorrhaging wounds, you're going to need a ton of this. There are safety pins in this. You're going to need padding, lots and lots of padding if you have a wound. The best thing to do is not have a wound. Don't overlook freshly laundered face cloth as bandaging. What's in the cupboards? Well, a fair amount of containers where you can actually fill them with water and leave them in the cupboard. Now, this close to the Parliament buildings, I'm going to assume that this house is going to be structurally seriously damaged, best case, in a nuclear war. So I'm not altogether sure I would actually waste time filling these with water. If I've done everything else and I'm doing nothing else, then I would. But I wouldn't leave them in this. I would actually put them somewhere on the ground, away, well away from the door, well away from me. Banana chips, we provided them, and some granola. Again, that's from us. Got a mismatch of stuff over the years that they've arranged here. There is espresso and Folgers coffee, and I don't know what that is. It's probably some carcinogenic milk substitute, but it has calories. If I think SHTF's about to happen, and we've done everything else I'd like to do first, I would actually microwave all the popcorn bags we have and get the popcorn ready to eat. Tea, courtesy Buzz. This is avocado oil, I bought this. Avocado oil is the oil you should use if you're going to heat the oil in any way at all, if you're going to cook with it. Olive oil is the oil you should use if you're not going to heat the food at all. Went to the market yesterday and I bought this. I'm going to test this when I get home, hopefully. It's Ottawa whiskey. I bought some peanut butter, food for the dog, some wipes, paper towels, fire starting. Oh yeah, toilet roll. EMP powers out. For whatever reason, I'm staying in place here for the next 2 weeks. Again, I'd probably die if I did that, and I probably wouldn't do that. But again, you never know what the emergency is. What am I going to do about toilet roll? Now, linen cloth and cleaning them is the way to go. However, if I'm stuck in a building like this with no method of heating water, etc., a little rocket stove, it's going to get really smelly by week 2, isn't it? Well, I have adequate toilet roll. The reason I have adequate toilet roll is I bought it. They supplied 3 or 4 toilet rolls in the building when we moved in, but I buy a big bunch of toilet roll. We're here for 4 weeks. That's well enough for 4 weeks. I'm not having a problem with the toilet roll. We have lots of toilet roll. But if I have to put that in bags, having not been able to flush it, I have enough toilet roll. Fire starting, toilet roll. This is actually a critical factor for most people if they try to stay in this room for 2 weeks. Imagine me, Kitty and Wolfie in here for 2 weeks. You better have, in those scenarios, adequate paper toilet roll. Don't overlook salt, but the local Loblaws actually has very few Tylenol or aspirin. So I waited a week, and when it got to the second week, because I have sciatic pain, I actually bought some Tylenol. They still don't have any. I haven't bothered checking Shoppers Drug Mart, but it'd be interesting to see. A beeswax candle. Got that myself because I like to have preps like this. What's in the cupboard? Dog food that we supplied and plates and stuff like that, and a few other bits and pieces. Red pepper, tea bags. So I haven't investigated these. These used to be his favourite stick, but he's gone off them. Wolfie is a very fussy terrier, aren't you, Wolfie? I didn't look in there. Oh, they're heavy, so there might be prizes. Oh dear. Destroying the planet one plastic thing at a time. However, you can open these up and add water and you've got reasonable coffee. Ooh, heavy. There you go. Sugar. Tea. Absolutely chock-a-block of tea. So as long as I've got hot water, I'm fine. In fact, you can make tea with cold water. You can make coffee with cold water. You just need to let it steep. We bought the sunflower oil, bread, fruit, vegan sausage. Now, vegan sausage is a cool product in an emergency because you can eat it raw. It's plant-based. Don't do that with meat. A whole bunch of coffee, some sticky rice, pastas, cereal, pastas, potatoes, chips. I bought this not for the apocalypse or any particular reason, but just because I thought it was kind of amusing. This is actually rice syrup, I believe, mostly. So it's actually a very cheap way of buying rice syrup. Oven gloves, great idea in any situation. Aluminium cling wrap, always worth keeping. Multiple uses. Le fridge. Syrup, a little bit of soy milk. Salad dressing, Kitty usually makes her own. I don't use that. This has got titanium in it, so I've been refusing to use it. Again, plant-based burgers, you can eat them raw, you don't need to cook them. A little bit of margarine, because it's always good for fat. Some fake cheese, some bits and pieces. Some fruits. Some veg. This will be tonight's dinner, actually. I bought these because it was $7.99 Canadian, and I thought that's a decent price for dry noodles these days. All this cleaning stuff, and especially the white vinegar over there, you absolutely want to keep this sort of stuff and make sure you have it, because you might have to use them to decontaminate yourself. Like I've said before, take all the bowls and fill them full of fresh water. Make sure you have adequate plastic bags if you don't buy some as soon as you get somewhere. Various bits and bobs, not much use in there at all. These are their books. It's not the type of books I'd normally read, but again, books are great for blocking radiation. They're also great for passing the time. These definitely would be going into the small room while we wait out time to see if we can escape. It's horrible to think about something like this when it's such a nice day, but you know, brief moments of time spent planning in advance means, for me at least, I can just chillax and relax. This is a small terrier trying to get into the bed. Oh, Wolf. Oh, you can do it. You can do it. Come on, good boy. Good boy. Yeah, not going to do it. Oh, you'll notice the Q-tips. I like Q-tips, so I bought a big box of them because they were cheap. There's also 2 hiking containers back there with water bladders. The water bladders, of course, will be filled. And come on, Wolfie, you can do it. I'm not going to boost him up because I'm actually about to leave the room and then he'll want to follow me, and his hips are a bit sore. So in terms of personal security, we have other methods, but these are 2 decent knives that we have, one for Kitty and one for me. In any sort of SHTF situation, I actually want a decent sized knife on me at all times. So that's it from Wolfie Terrier. So that's it from me. Have a great week. Thanks for watching, I really do appreciate it. Feel free to put some comments in down below. Yes, I know, a nuclear war with me here 2 kilometres from Parliament Hill in Ottawa is probably not the safest place to be. But I'm really enjoying the vacation. Doodles. This has been a 2022 Airbnb Terrier production.